I do a fair amount of custom paintings with color shifting paint. Real color shifting paint. Not really the stuff you buy in bottles at a place like Michael's or maybe even Blick, though those are okay too. But if you want that extreme color shift, you have to mix that pigment yourself. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll have the link to this place in the description below. Dip Your Car is where I get most of my pigments. They're professional and their product is clean. In their pearls, you want to look for the Hypershift. The Hypershift is exactly how it sounds. Most of the Hypershift pigments contain an extreme color shift. You can find video examples of the Hypershifts on YouTube. It's pretty cool. The Hypershifts are not cheap, but they're the highest quality pigment you're going to be able to get. You want to order a 5-gram bag. You don't need a 25-gram trying to paint a car. And for this example project, I'm going to show you guys the ZTN. Now, obviously this is the ZTP, but I already have my ZTN mixed, so this is going to be the same process, it's just a different color. If you wiggle the bag around a little, you can kind of see some of the color shift already, but you'll see more of it when we start to mix it. I have tried nearly a dozen different bases for this, and this really works the best. I'll also have a link for this below. You want to get a jar of regular gel. It's just an additive to paint, and you want to make sure that it's gloss or high gloss. If it's matte, it won't reflect the light the same, and the color shift won't be as extreme. This will make your mixture a little cloudy, but don't worry, it does dry transparent. So the only thing that'll be left is your color shifting pigment. Then you need a jar of some kind, nothing big. I always recommend glass. You can use like a baby food jar or anything that will have a lid and cap. And then you need some water. There's nothing else in this but water, just enough to kind of get everything mixed up to a fluid paint consistency. Then you just want to get something to mix it all up with. Also, you want to do this outside. Don't do it inside. There are too many particles and you don't want to breathe this stuff in. You want to put a couple of good globs of that gel in the jar. That's my scientific measurement. It works out every time. Then open up your bag of pigment and pour about a third of it in. You can kind of notice the dust particles coming up off the pigment. That's why you want to do this stuff outside. But once you get it all mixed, it'll be fine. It'll bind those particles together and you won't have to worry about it. Then add a few pretty good squirts of water, and you really want to mix it. You want to make sure there are no white clumps anywhere. By the time you're done mixing, it will thicken up just a little bit. If you're having a difficult time mixing it, you can always just cap up the jar and shake it a lot until you finally get it mixed. Look around the jar, make sure there aren't any white clumps kind of like stuck to the sides or the bottom, and you keep mixing until that white stuff is gone. There might be a little bit left, like skimmed along the bottom or something. Still try to get some of that off, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. I feel like that's mixed pretty well. It's got a really beautiful color shift. And if you open up the jar, you'll notice that it's more cloudy on the inside. That's just due to that base we mixed it with that will go away, and the color shift will look more similar to what the glass on the outside looked like. Here is where my WoW fans get excited. I've got a Horde logo sketched on a canvas, and we're going to use that ZTN on this because the colors match the logo just a little bit more. You get more of that red, even though I know that ZTP is pretty great stuff. Now you're going to need some black paint. This is used as the base for these color shifting pigments. If you change the color of the base, it will actually change how the color shifting pigments appear. You can experiment with that, but for this right now, I just recommend plain black paint. You also need a fan brush. This is really important. You cannot paint with these hypershifts using a normal paintbrush. You have to use a fan brush. The particles will get stuck in the ferrule of any normal brush. It'll clog up in the bristles and it won't actually unload onto the canvas. It'll just be a huge waste of money and an aggravation. So get that black paint down on the logo. I did 2 layers just to make sure the coverage was complete. Let it dry completely and then begin to brush on the ZTN. Don't worry, you're gonna clean up these lines later. It's gonna be a little messy. Painting this stuff on is tricky. You kinda wanna paint in the same direction so the color shift doesn't seem broken. You also need to work pretty quickly. You don't need that much on your brush. If you're painting an area and it starts to dry and feel a little tacky, you wanna move on. Don't keep painting that area until it completely dries. This is why you wanna work quickly. It'll pull the pigment away from the canvas and then ruin your painting. To really make the color shift pop, you want to use an artist's varnish, either in gloss or high gloss. Make sure the painting is completely dry before you do this. When it dries, you can take it into some good light, and you should get a pretty remarkable color shift. Experiment with this process, try different stuff. You can get some really great results in ways that you might not expect. If you have any questions or need something clarified, just let me know. I'll do my best to explain it. This is a really cool effect, something that I think should be used in art more. I look forward to people giving it a shot. If you're interested in these weird and unique painting methods, subscribe. I'm going to be coming out with all kinds of weird videos that you might actually like.